I'm Eric Barnes with the Daily Memphian. Welcome to The Sidebar, a weekly show on the community, arts, culture, and more. Today we're talking with Maggie Schaumleffel of Barth House Episcopal Center, so stay with us for a conversation with Maggie. Maggie, thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me.
You are Director of Ministries at Barth House Episcopal Center.
I am.
What is Barth House Episcopal Center?
So Barth House Episcopal Center is an Episcopal center. Sorry.
And there we go. That's all the time we have this week, and we're done.
It's a center that's owned by the Episcopal Diocese of West Tennessee. So the Episcopal Church is a denomination of churches, and the diocese just is the type of region that we split up into. So the Episcopal Diocese of West Tennessee goes all the way over to just west of Nashville. So we are like a community center for this area, and we are also the seat of campus ministries for this area. So all the colleges and universities and the staff that are at those colleges and universities and the humans there, the seat for the ministry to those spaces is out of Barth House as well.
And where are you located?
So it looks like we're on the campus of the University of Memphis, but we're just right adjacent to it. So we're on Patterson Street.
Okay.
Yeah, right across from the International Student Center and Smith Dorm. So folks probably know where we are.
And so, so mostly students, right? Students and staff. Students and staff. Let's talk about students. I mean, first thing that came to mind is my kids are now 26 and 27. And we were just last week, or a show we just taped, but last week we were talking with Shantae Avant from the Women's Foundation about COVID and coming off COVID. Kids in college right now, what they spent a couple years of high school, maybe middle school in COVID.
Formative years. How much of that, beyond everything about how hard it is to be a teenager, early 20s, it's just hard. It's really hard. Then you're coming off COVID. I think too, like those things compound each other. Obviously they do, but in such a way that when you are isolated, one of the things that removes from you and from your perspective is how hard it is for everybody else. So I have students or young adults who come to me and say, I don't know how to make friends.
Yeah.
Which that's a normal thing for an adult to be like, how do I walk into this space and be, and I think that also we are so inward looking at that time of life that it's normal to think that nobody else has this problem. But I think it's especially so for this group of people to not have to go through the awkward phase of sitting in a room or saying hello and knowing that everybody's going through that awkward phase as well.
And then there's phones.
Yeah.
I mean, this is a really social media phone generation.
Yeah.
My kids I was very lucky in this, and I think about it a lot because my kids were not that interested. They were just ahead of it. Mm-hmm. They had phones, flip phones, pretty early, but not screen, and then there's social media, and then they kind of saw what was going on with some friends, and they really kind of stayed away from it. That's not to say they had Snapchat, and they had some social media, but they were very wary of it. It was like, there's a wave coming behind us, and we're going to stay ahead of it. And I thought, at the time I thought I was lucky. I now think I was unbelievably lucky.
Gosh. I think all the time. I mean, even with just myself, I can't imagine if they had cell phones at the sleepovers in sixth grade. I can't imagine.
Can't imagine.
But also, I think hopefully what your children miss too is it's the security blanket nature
that too
a cell phone provides now. And
yes.
I see, and what's interesting is I kind of try to even watch the students as the year goes along. And at the beginning of the year, I do believe people need their phones out to try to figure out where they're going or what's coming up next. But it is almost like a degree of, I see it this is my bubble. If I'm looking at a cell phone, then I don't look weird because I'm not talking to anybody else or that I don't know where I'm going. It is we see it at social events. Folks pull out their phones.
I have to stop myself from doing that. I mean, this is not uniquely of that generation. I'm just hey, I can actually just not look at my phone right now. It's pretty much the same thing. I mean, I get it. If I had kids and they're picking up or, there's reasons to have to do it, but sometimes it's so nice to just turn your phone off. I mean, so how does all that, I jump to those things. How does that intersect with ministry. And I know I'm not Episcopalian. My kids went to Episcopalian schools, so Grace St. Luke's, and then my daughter went to St. Mary's. And so I've been adjacent to the Episcopal church for the kid's mom her mom was an Episcopal priest. So I've always been around the Episcopalians, even though I'm not Episcopalian. I'm not a particularly religious person. Where do these things that we're talking about intersect with like faith and the church and so on?
I very much at this time, and I think maybe other people throughout history could have said this as well, but I am awfully stinking proud to be from and in the Episcopal Church right now because of what I'm about to say. Like the mission of the Episcopal Church is to, and I'm going to get it wrong, but really to help unite or reunite human beings with God and with each other. And I think that's to just show up and be in that space and hold that space for other humans. And when we look at young adults and folks talk about, well, how do you get the college students to come in? Well, first thing a lot of people say is, you got to feed them. You got to have food there. Well, of course, food helps, right? But other people say, well, if you bring in this, or, basically, you could have fireworks, you could have a marching parade, you could have whatever it is. But what they really want is a space to be.
Yeah.
Like to really just be, and
be in a religious way, or be in sort of in community and social and even, safe and so on.
Yes, social, safe, and quiet.
Yeah.
Like to have space that you don't have to fill. Like you can walk through the doors and there's not an expectation of like, oh, you have to do something now because you walked through the door. Like you can walk in and you can be seen and just be in that space and participate however you feel comfortable participating in that space.
Yeah.
And that's not something, we don't have those common spaces very much, I think. Now, because of the ease of access. If you don't have to have payphones on the street, you also don't have to have a lot of common community spaces.
Yeah. And even your community spaces, like you said, you can go into your security blanket. Yeah. So you can be in a bar, you can be at a party, you can be at a coffee shop and really go insular. Right. And sometimes that's fine. I'm not saying that's all bad, but it's obviously clearly and generationally, there's just a level of disconnection and mental health issues that I think statistically says people need, however you want to phrase it, the kinds of things you're talking about.
Well, and
just to community, whether that's religion or not, but community and social and put the phones down and make friends and all that stuff.
See, to me, like that is religious. To me, right?
And I get that for people. Yeah, and I learned that as somebody who grew up not going to church, I learned that about the Episcopal Church, going to many things and stuff. I was like, I'm not religious, but this is a great community.
Yeah, like just to have that space and I try to lean into the idea that hospitality isn't, filling a space with things, it's making a space for folks to come and fill it with themselves and in their space too. Yeah. But also when you think about when you're like with this specific age group, but I don't think if I can even say generationally, but where they are being born after 9/11 and after like where they are in our specific American history and the number of times they've heard the phrase thoughts and prayers and thoughts and prayers and thoughts and prayers. And so also I think that this age right now, just in my personal anecdotal experience, you can be hanging out with a group of people and somebody else that's not familiar with this age group will walk in and the jokes are, to us, they sound harsh or morbid or dark or cynical. And like a lot of the language seems to go that way. So I think providing a space that doesn't have to be just hot takes or just anger or to say like, yeah, it's okay to be like, you have a reasonable anger and a reasonable question of authority here. Absolutely. And I'm not too scared to sit here and explore that with you.
Yeah. How much you talked about thoughts and prayers, and it's hard not to think about school shootings. I mean, this is a generation that grew up with, I hate to say normalization, but it feels like a kind of normalization. I mean, there'll be a school shooting. This thing is going to sit. We recorded this 3 weeks ago. Odds are there's been a school shooting in between now and when this airs. And it's horrific. And it's so typical. Whereas I remember Columbine as really kind of the first. Yeah. And now it's constant. What does that do? I mean, to people, to young people.
and also I think to all of us too, we don't complete the cycle of like human stress. So like a human experiences a stressor and then goes and finds refuge and finds that other refuge, which is just a belonging, why we need belonging, and to be with other humans and to feel that safety in that space and to be able to calm our nervous system and say, okay, I've gotten away from the threat and the danger, so now I can calm down. I don't think we've ever had that calm down time, that come back into the safety of community, because we haven't reconciled with the tragedies that have happened and the things that have happened. Like they're still there. Like it's still there. So we're still stuck in the cycle of, and haven't completed it with a cleansing, with a catharsis and a cleansing of the trauma.
Yeah. Well, we're here with Maggie Schaumleffel, and she's director of ministries for Barth House Episcopal Center. Works with all the colleges in town and the staff to some degree. It sounds like in the town. We'll come back and talk with her in just a second about all these things and more. But let me remind everyone, I'm Eric Barnes. This is The Sidebar. It airs on WYXR 91.7 every Thursday at 11:30. Focused on the community, arts, culture, everything in between. But it's not just a radio show. It's one of many podcasts we do at the Daily Memphian, including our daily morning podcast, the AMDM, which is hosted by Mary Casciola, our editorial director, and Natalie Van Gundy, who's sitting next to me, and produces all of our podcasts and news, audio, and most of the video we do. We don't do a ton of video, but she produces it. We also have the Memphis Grizzlies podcast with Chris Harrington and Drew Hill that'll be ramping up pretty seriously soon. And our food podcast, Sound Bites with Holly Whitfield. All those are available wherever you get your podcasts. And Sound Bites airs on WYXR every Thursday at 11, as does The Sidebar. You can go to WYXR.org or the WYXR app to get these shows and all the other WYXR shows, the talk shows, archives of the music shows. And if you're not a supporter of WYXR, it's nonprofit, listener-supported radio, so consider becoming a member, do a one-off gift, whatever you can do. That is what WYXR relies on, that and a whole lot of volunteers. I should also mention Behind the Headlines, the TV show we produce with the folks over at WKNO every week, going into its 16th season. I guess we've started our 16th season, which is insane. The podcast version of that is on the Daily Memphian site and all the other Daily Memphian podcast feeds. The Daily Memphian also is a nonprofit. If you're not a paid subscriber, do consider becoming one. But also the subscriptions pay for 52% of what we do at the Daily Memphian. About 20% of what we do is donations and philanthropy, so consider a donation if you want. Coming up soon, or actually I should say recently on the Sidebar, is Cindy Yonker, Buckman Performing Arts Center. We had Shante Avant from the Women's Foundation. Yes, she's also chair of the county commission, but we talked about that just for a hot second, but mostly just talked about the really interesting and amazing work of the Women's Foundation. Also recently had Park Kennedy, the new head of GPAC. Behind the Headlines, probably soon, or just happened, depending on when this airs, John Zena, the czar of public infrastructure. I'm really leaning into that because I didn't write down the name of his actual job, so I'm just going to call him czar. Close enough. I mean, facts these days. And other shows from Behind the Headlines, again, you can get at WKNO.org, or you can get at Daily Memphian, YouTube, all those places. One more bit of housekeeping. We have our next business seminar coming up on October 23rd. It's Developing Memphis. It'll be at the Botanic Garden at 3 p.m. Todd Richardson from Crosstown will be there. Shondell Ryan from the Downtown Memphis Commission. John Halford from Connect Design, which has done a bunch of very cool developments in the Edge District, in the Medical District, as well as Jay Lawrence Turner. He's pastor of Mississippi Boulevard Church, and they've got, he'll be talking about their plans for developing a lot of the land they have in that Edge District area. Again, that's Developing Memphis. It's October 23rd at 3 p.m. at the Botanic Garden. You do need tickets, so go to Eventbrite, search for Daily Memphian, or go to the Daily Memphian site, and in the navigation you can get, events? No, seminars, I think it is. Seminars. And you can buy tickets there. But we are here with Maggie Schaumleffel from Barth House Episcopal Center. What are the other things that come up that you deal with the most?
At the Barth House,
Yeah.
we have a lot of community groups that use this space. And it's a space that, so like there'll be different groups from within the diocese that have their Bible study. There's a women's Bible study on Tuesdays and a men's Bible study on Thursdays. And we have Al-Anon, which is a 12-step recovery meeting through the week. And we also have the Lynching Sites Project of Memphis that meets at Barth House. What we try to do is, since we have this pretty cool corner in Memphis, in Tennessee, try to say, like, what is an organization that's out there doing stuff and working what we think is for the good, and see how we can help them if they need a space to meet, or if they need, just to use a corner in Memphis, if there's some way we can get connected with them.
Is there also a connection for like students with other organizations outside this, Barth House, right? I didn't know there was a thing for whatever the interest level is, whether it's Frisbees or it's, kids from the Northeast. I mean, whatever that. I mean, is that part of what you're trying to do? Is it's not all about keeping them in, it's connecting them with other organizations.
Absolutely. And I think too, like part of that, you can't try to minister to young adults. And, you walk up to somebody and say, I'm a Christian, and they're going to say, okay, well, what does that mean?
Right.
What does that mean? Right. And that means that we try to do our basic with social recognition of justice and equality and creation care. And so, we're connecting ties. A student came up to me and says, well, let's start composting at Barth House. Or, they think we should start composting at Barth House. So I said, that sounds like a great job for you to do. And here is, another group on this campus.
Your hand.
Yes. There's a group on this campus doing it here, and a group in Memphis that's doing stuff here, like some resources. So it is because that's the deal. Where there's, especially in Memphis, there are so many people doing really cool, really good things, and it's just making the connections.
Yeah. Again, I mentioned earlier that, I'm not religious. My kids were at, Episcopal schools, and I remember being a little wary of that at first because I didn't grow up religious, and I'd gone to public schools. And I remember the first thing going to GSL and them talking about how the Episcopal Church had chosen a while ago, so this was a while ago because my kids were 20, in the mid-20s, that the Episcopal Church would actively embrace all religions and agnostic and atheist, the whole thing. It was not meant to be an Episcopal school in the sense of this is, everyone here is going to become an Episcopalian, which is my naive fear as a parent at that time and somebody who didn't grow up going to church and all that. That instead it was all, it was an all comers and really embracing that. And I remember thinking, well, we'll see. And it was really profoundly. I mean, there was a chapel, but the chapel was open to all kinds of religions and thoughts. My son, maybe he still is, but as a teenager was an atheist. And I remember Richard Lawson, who was the rector at GSL Church and did a lot at GSL School. And he heard that my son had given this talk at MUS on the 5 misconceptions of being an atheist at MUS, which was a very interesting place to do that. And Richard Lawson, rector of GSL, heard about it. He goes, that sounded like the greatest speech. He goes, I don't think he might be saying it. He goes, I love atheists. They're the most interesting people. And he didn't mean it cynically.
No.
Richard meant it like absolutely 100%.
And
that's my whole experience with the Episcopal Church is that kind of thinking.
I think that I agree. And sometimes being a cradle Episcopalian myself, like it's to a degree of frustration as well, because sometimes I want some cold hard answers. What's right? What's wrong? Like go ahead, just give me the list. Tell me what I need to do, what boxes I need to check. And, and there's, my priest or bishop looking at me saying, well, have you prayed? Like it's that whole, and the students love to say I heard this from another college minister in the Episcopal Church, but we would rather you have questions that we can't answer than us give you answers that you can't question. Because that's the thought process of the Episcopal Church anyhow, is to not lean into certainty and our definition and our drawing of God and what God wants. That's to assume God's mind, right? We try to follow and try to be humble and to also understand that we can only be concerned with ourselves and showing up the best that we can in the moment. And so when they redesigned Barth House to open it in 2020, they purposefully, our Bishop Phoebe Rofe, has it so that everything can be removed from the space. Yeah. Like There's a crucifix on the wall. We had a couple years ago, because of traumatic events, Hillel wanted to be able to use the space at Barth House to meet. And we said, Hillel is the Jewish campus organization. And we said, absolutely. So we could pull, they didn't care what was on the walls. They were so sweet and kind. But like to us, we wanted to be respectful of our interfaith partners and in that way, you know, and remove everything that we can so that they know that they have a space. Like God is really, really big. And if we try to put God in a small box with our own definitions, we're going to be disappointed every time.
Yeah. We had Bishop Phoebe on the show in COVID, I think, right? It was a Zoom show, or no, was it right before? Maybe it was right before.
So she must have, she was probably she had just started, because she was like, that's when she started.
I did her show on Zoom. That's what it was.
Faithfully Memphis.
Yes, Faithfully Memphis. I did. Yeah, she was nice of me. She joined us in person. Okay, she was great. She was fantastic.
Yeah.
Talk again. All the colleges. We've been talking a little bit about U of M because but you really work with we try to work with everyone.
Well, our hope is to. Yeah. So right now, and we'll have a college missioner eventually that will go in our diocese to go to the different institutions of higher learning. Right now, we have definite groups at University of Memphis and Rhodes. There's a Rhodes Episcopal group, and we are making connections with Lemoyne Owen and with CBU. We have some working connections with them, but also going out to Lane College in Jackson and going to UT Martin and going to. So that's our goal is to show up in those spaces.
Do you talk about staff? So, staff in the sense of you're working with faculty and staff members at the schools.
Oh, yeah. So we're lucky to have a good number of parking spaces behind Barth House. So that's a cool thing. You know, we have a parking lot there so folks can use it and run into campus. But what also has come from that is the faculty or staff members that like they're coming through and they just need a place to sit that's not their office or not their desk, you know, or not wherever they have office hours.
You're like a co-work space, basically.
So, I mean, really, and they can be, or I've
with
had
the Book
folks,
of Common Prayer, you know. That was good, right? Look at that, right there. Pulled that out. It took me a long time. I was like, "What's that book called? What's that book called?" There it is.
A Book of Common Prayer. Got a bunch of them. But they can come and they'll do a Zoom meeting, or they'll come and also so Holy Communion Church, they have a group there that has a gleaning ministry. They do Recover Food, Feed Hope, which is cool. Just taken from packaging the meals so that students can come by and get food. But it's really good food and it's there for everybody. So what I find is, you know who doesn't have food most of the time? Grad students. Grad students, bless them, are walking around campus and they're like, I haven't gotten to leave all day. And it's not like they have a refrigerator or a cooler or money that they can go to Chick-fil-A. So we've got food in the freezer for folks to eat. And just a space to be and also a place to meet. We try to have arts is another one of our buckets that we try to fill. So we do have some musicians that come and practice, but to be a recital
How
space.
big is this building?
It is not.
You make this sound like this, like 10,000 square foot.
What you need to know.
All these rooms and all these things. I know, exactly.
Y'all, no, what you need to know is one of my specialties is being able to put 10 pounds in a 5-pound bag. So, that's the thing too with the way it's able to change and move and really pivot and be fluid. And I think that alone is kind of what makes it cool. Because, not that we overlap, but we do overlap. And you can still feel the different things going on from different groups and organizations or missions in the space.
Yeah. Are you from Memphis?
I grew up here, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Colleges right now, all universities, they're shrinking by and large. Like the student, it's not, U of M was down actually only 3%, which was, I thought the number might be bigger. Having interviewed the president a year and a half ago, he said, look, colleges are falling off the cliff. It's just the number of college age kids is going to get smaller and smaller. You look around from your seat and not your problem because there's plenty of kids to try to pull from and pull in, or how does that impact things?
Well, and I think, too, you could combine that with the church, capital T, capital C, around the world, and how less folks are going to church, too. Yeah. Less folks are looking for religion as well, whatever that religion might. Well, I say that. I don't know if that's facts or what. But, No.
I think it is true in many, many, many cases. Statistically. Yes.
And especially with organized religion. I will say this, though. One thing about being in campus ministry in the Episcopal Church is what has been historically the trend for Episcopalians is that you'll have somebody who is, at church 3 nights a week. They go, they're in EYC, they get confirmed early, they do all the things. And then when they go to college, they peace out and we don't see them. And because they might need a minute and they'll find their way back. Yeah. So what we have, and actually what I have right now is mostly folks who are doing deconstructive work. So they were raised in, most of them evangelical households. And so they are figuring out what they believe is their truth and in their truth with their relationship with God and with themselves and with the world.
Right.
So,
right.
Yeah. I don't know okay, you're talking about the number of people on college campuses.
Yes. Yeah.
We also,
no, it's interesting.
We do a lot of student relief at the Barth House. So the folks we see, and we're right across the street from the International Student Center. So we'll have students come in that way, which is good and keeps us busy.
Yeah.
But, that's what sorry. So when Episcopalians go to college, it's not you have to go. We don't have a stick in the Episcopal Church. We've got a carrot, we don't have the fire and brimstone. We've got a carrot and so many questions. But, and what I was trying to say to that too, and I wanted to say about Daily Memphians reporting on the students from Ghana at the University of Memphis. Yeah. And we have a relationship with a lot of them and trying to be present and be in a way which has led into global ministry avocation in the diocese as well.
Yeah. It's funny that something you said, my daughter going to college, she, at St. Mary's, they did chapel, I think it was 5 days a week. I mean, it was every day. And she was talking in college, she went to NYU, and she goes, I just missed that. And I said, well, you can probably find something. She goes, no, I don't. She may or she may not, doesn't matter. But what she missed really more than anything, which as we wrap this up, she said, I just missed, there was 15 minutes a day. I would listen to music. I'd be in my head. I'd sometimes listen. There'd be a prayer or talk or whatever. She goes, I don't know if I listened to it or not. Sometimes I did, sometimes I didn't. But it was just 15 minutes of quiet among friends and classmates. And then she was in the NYU and the city, and and that was the thing she missed the most. I was like, well, you could try to find that. But that was not NYU. It's not a place of quiet and, contemplation in that sense. So,
I mean, that's what we're all missing, some place where we can be authentic and vulnerable around other people.
Yeah. Yeah. Don't tell my daughter that I told that story because she'd get very mad at me though. So, speaking of vulnerable, you said vulnerable and that reminded me I'm vulnerable being disowned by my daughter by telling stories about her. Anywho, last question I was trying to ask people. What was the first concert you went to?
Blues Traveler at the New Daisy.
Oh, that's pretty good.
How fun is that, right?
That's real good.
Yeah.
That's a first. That's a first.
Wait. Can I go back to Three Dog Night at the Chicks Stadium?
Yes.
How many people can say that? Rufus Thomas. I saw Rufus Thomas. Okay, when I was really little. Yeah, I did. My mom and I went and saw Rufus Thomas.
Most people have a couple. They have the one they saw at the fair or as a kid. But the first time
concert, I was going with a group of friends.
Yeah.
Blues Traveler at the New Daisy.
And I don't think we've ever had New Daisy.
We have not.
Yeah, that's good. You're Director of Ministries for Barth House Episcopal Center. Thanks very much for being here. What's the website? Where can people look for, search for Barth House and they'll find it?
Yeah, you can search for Barth House or EDWTN, so Episcopal Diocese West Tennessee.org.
Gotcha. That is all the time we have this week. If you missed any of the show, you can get the full episode online wherever you get your podcast, plus YouTube, plus WYXR, plus the Daily Memphian. Thanks very much, and we'll see you next week.